morning students. Now today we are going to do the second part of the question paper. Now we have already discussed the answers for the first part of the question paper last day. Now we are going to start the second part. Now I hope you have already write down all the answers for the all 6 questions, because I have told you to write down answers for the all the 6 questions. So now we are going to start discussing the second part. So we will take the first question. In first question, part A, here there is an activity. An activity related with the combustion is shown below. Fix the tin lid to the stand. Place magnesium ribbon. The substances they have kept here, what are they? Magnesium ribbon, petrol, sugar, a piece of paper, a piece of glass, sand on the tin lid. And then they have keep the Bunsen burner underneath the tin lid and start to heat, right? So the first question they asked, which substance burns first? Now here from these substances, when you start the Bunsen burner, only few substances start to burn, right? So what are the substances start to burn? Magnesium ribbon, what else? Petrol and piece of paper, right? Those are the substances which will going to burn. What are the substances? Petrol, then the magnesium ribbon, then what? Paper and sugar also. So those are the substances which will start to burn. Again I will tell you, the magnesium ribbon, petrol, sugar and piece of paper. Then name 2 non-combustible substances. Now here the piece of glass and sand won't burn. If you keep the Bunsen burner and heat it for a long time of period, still this piece of glass and the sand won't burn, right? So we call them as what? Non-combustible substances. So what are the non-combustible substances here? Those are what? Glass, the piece of glass and sand. That means they won't get burned. Then the third question, write the reason why combustible substances on the tin lid burn in different times. Now here I told you, now what? The piece of magnesium ribbon, the petrol, sugar and piece of paper will start to burn, but not in the same time, right? It will take different times to burn them. Why it takes these combustible substances to burn in different times? So what is the reason for that? Now here I have written down, the combustible substance starts to burn after it gets heated to its ignition point. Now any substance, any combustible substance, it has a what? It has a ignition point. So when if that substance not get into that ignition point, that means even if we heat it won't start to burn. So only that substance will start to burn after it will get into that ignition point of that substance. So the answer is what? All the combustible substances starts to burn after it gets heated to its ignition point, right? So now when you take these substances, here the ignition points are different in each substance. Now there are 4 combustible substances. In each combustible substances, ignition point different from each other, right? All the piece of magnesium ribbon has a different ignition point. If you take sugar, it has another ignition point. Likewise, all the combustible substances are having a different ignition point. So it will start to burn in different times. That is the reason for that. The ignition points are different in each substances. So the next question, the Bunsen flame is adjusted to direct to the center of the tin lid. The teacher said that each substance should be placed equal distance to the center. What is the purpose of that? Now when you keep the Bunsen burner, you should you should place it in the center of the tin lid. What is the reason for that? Now you know all these substances should get the same amount of heat. Here the reason is what? To get same amount of heat to all the substances, right? Now if you keep it in this corner, that means only these substances will get more heat, right? Now if you keep the Bunsen burner in this corner, only these two substances will get more heat. So avoid that and get same amount of heat for all the substances. We should keep the Bunsen burner in the center of the tin lid. That is the reason, to get same amount of heat to all the substances. So the next question is, draw the fire triangle. So you know that there's a fire triangle. That means we need three things. Three things are needed for a substance to get burned. To start burn, it needs three things. What are those three components? Heat, oxygen, fuel, right? Without heat, no any substance will start to burn. So heat is needed. Then oxygen, it's need oxygen. Without oxygen, again the substance won't start to burn. Then also it needs what? Fuel. So these three components are important for a substance to get burned. So what are the components in fire triangle? Heat, oxygen and fuel. Then next question, what are the products of complete combustion of carbon and hydrogen in a fuel? Now you know there are two things as complete combustion and incomplete combustion. If you take complete combustion of carbon, carbon will produce what? Carbon will produce carbon dioxide. When carbon burns completely, it will give you carbon dioxide gas. Then if you burn hydrogen, and if hydrogen burned completely, it will give you what? It will give you water or H2O. Okay, now we discuss the B part of the same question. Here again there is a practical. The diagram of an activity done to investigate what type of a change occurs when an acid is added to a base. Here in the diagram you can see there is a burette and dilute hydrochloric acid, sodium hydroxide with phenolphthalein. So what is the acid here? Acid means hydrochloric. So what is the base? Sodium hydroxide. In sodium hydroxide they have also put what? Phenolphthalein. So the phenolphthalein is what? It's an indicator and it's a colorless solution. So the first question they asked, which color change occurs when adding the diluted hydrochloric acid dropwise into the sodium hydroxide solution with phenolphthalein? Now what happened here? The color change is what? Phenolphthalein is what? It's a colorless solution. Phenolphthalein indicator is what? It's a colorless indicator. Now what happened when you put phenolphthalein into a base? When you add phenolphthalein into a base, it will change to a pink color. So the solution is already what? The solution of here the color of the solution is pink. Sodium hydroxide and phenolphthalein in the solution, the color is what? It is pink color. Now what happen when you add dropwise, when you add hydrochloric acid, what will happen? Now you know phenolphthalein will give no any color change with acid, right? So what happened to that pink color? When you add hydrochloric acid dropwise, the pink color will start to disappear. Okay, this pink color will gradually start to disappear and the solution will become a colorless solution when you added hydrochloric acid dropwise to the beaker. So the second question, write the reason for your answer. So the reason now I already explained it. What is the reason? Phenolphthalein will give a pink color solution with base and phenolphthalein will give no any color change to hydrochloric acid. That means for acid. So when you start to put acid into a solution which have a base and phenolphthalein, what happen? It will start to gradually color will disappear because of what? Because we put acid into a phenolphthalein solution. Okay, that is the reason. Then third one, write the word equation of the reaction occurred in above activity. Now if you write the reaction, here I will write it in the board. What happened here? Hydrochloric acid will react with sodium hydroxide. Here hydrochloric acid with HCl will react with sodium hydroxide. Then what will be the result? Hydrogen will make what? H2O. Then sodium will react with chlorine. it will gives you sodium chloride and what? H2O or water. So what is the word equation? You can write hydrochloric and sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide gives you what? Sodium chloride and water. You can write both these equations. HCl plus sodium hydroxide gives you sodium chloride plus water. This is the word equation. That means this is the reaction taken in this practical. Then next one, the pain caused by bee sting disappear on application of lime. Now explain this. What is happening in here? Now you know bee stings means what? Bee stings include a base, right? It's a somewhat basic liquid. So what happened when you apply the lime on it? That means the basic of that basic of that solution will reduce due to lime, because lime is what? Acid. So you what happened? The pain will gradually reduce when you apply lime. That means it will become neutralized, right? When you add acid into a base, what happen? It will become neutralized. So same thing happen here. Bee sting is base and lime is acid. What happen when you mix them together? It will become neutralized and the pain will gradually decrease. Okay, now we are going to discuss the second essay question. In second essay question, they have given you a diagram of a pond, right? This is a diagram of a pond. Now in the first question, name the groups of vertebrates that animals B and D belong to. So what are the animal B? Animal B is what? It's a crane, right? D is what? A deer. So what are the groups they belong to? So here B is what? Crane is what? It's a bird, right? So it belongs to which group? We call that group as Aves. Belongs to group Aves. Then D is what? It's a deer. Deer belongs to which group? It's Mammalia, right? Mammalia. So it belongs to group Mammalia. So second question, name two invertebrates. So what are the invertebrates here? Here you can see F, a butterfly, and here you can see a snail. So what are the invertebrates here? You can observe snail and butterfly. Then B, name the groups of invertebrates that above two animals belong to. Write common features for each of those two groups. Now you know we can divide invertebrates again into different groups, right? So F is what? Butterfly. So butterfly belongs to which group? Group Arthropoda. We call that invertebrate group as Arthropoda. Then if you take snail, snail belongs to what? Group Mollusca. We call that group as Mollusca. Then you have to write down the special features of these groups. Now if you take group Arthropoda, what are the special features of animals, or mainly insects are in Arthropoda, right? So what are the special features of their body? You can say they have what? Segmented body. One special feature is what? They are having a segmented body. Then another one, what is that? They have bilateral symmetrical body. Bilateral symmetrical body. Then also they have an external skeleton. If you take arthropodas, you can see they have an external skeleton. That means an external skeleton that covered their body. So those are the special features of arthropodas. Now if you take group Mollusca, the special features of group Mollusca is one is what? They are having a muscular foot, right? One is what? They are having a muscular foot, and also they also have what? Bilaterally symmetrical body. Bilateral symmetrical body. And also you can see if you take a snail, they have a soft body, right? Wet and soft body. Those are the special features of group Mollusca. Then third question, which animal has external ears and sweat glands, sebaceous glands in the skin? So what is that animal? If have external ears, sweat glands, which animal? Here deer, right? Deer and also what? Bee. we call, sorry, only deer, right? Why? Deer is what? It's a mammalia. So group Mammalia has all these features, right? Only group Mammalia has external ears, sweat glands and sebaceous glands in the skin. So it belongs to group Mammalia. The animal is what? Deer. Then next question. What is the group to which the highest number of animals belong to? Now I already told you the highest number of animals belong to group Arthropoda. Why? Arthropoda having lot of insects, right? All the insects present in the earth belongs to group Arthropoda. So the highest number of animals are present in group Arthropoda. Then what is the type of special root seen in Watacea plant? Here the plant X is what you can see, the plant X is a Watacea plant. So what is the special root here? You can see the root is what? Stilt root. That means those roots are in the roots are not in below the soil, it's in up of the soil, right? It's in the surface of the soil. So we call these roots as stilt root. So what is the function of this stilt root? What is the function of the roots above plant? So the stilt root helps the stem of the plant, right? Or we can say stilt roots support the stem of the plant. So the function is what? It supports the stem of the plant. Okay, now we are going to discuss the third essay question. In third essay question, the environment around us is composed of matter and energy. Matter could be divided to two groups as pure substances and non-pure substances, or we can call it as mixtures. Pure substances are in two types as elements and compounds. Now you already know that we can divide pure substances into two types as elements and compounds. Now elements means only one material. There are no any other materials mixed in that elements, right? Now if you take compound, compound means a mixture of these elements. That means 2 or 3 elements mixed together and make what? Compounds. So the first question, name 2 energies in the environment. Now what are the energies we can find in the environment? Water, sun power, solar power. Water means hydropower and also wind power. Those are the energies we can find from the environment. We can say solar power, hydropower and wind power. Then question 2, name a compound in the kitchen. What are the compounds we use in kitchen? You can write sugar or salt. Sugar and salt are compounds that we used in kitchen. Then B, name the elements of that compound. Now if you take salt means what? Sodium chloride, right? Salt is what? Sodium chloride. We can write it like this, sodium chloride. So what are the elements present in this compound? 2 elements are there. What is that? What are they? Sodium and chloride. Sodium and here chloride. Those are the 2 elements. Now if you take sugar, sugar contains what? Carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. If you take sugar, the elements present in sugar is what? Carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. So what are the elements if you take sugar? Sugar means what? We can say it's glucose, right? So the components or the elements present there is what? Carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Now if you take the third question, you don't need to answer for the third question. Now if you take the fourth one, write the physical property of matter described by below sentences. Part A, being subject to breaking or crushing into pieces when a force is applied. You know we can break or crush some substances into pieces, right? So we call that property as what? We called it as brittleness. Being subject to breaking or crushing into pieces, we call this as what? Brittleness. So we can substances can be break into small pieces due to what property? Due to brittleness. Then B, ability to stretch upon pulling and returning to the initial state when the force is released. So that means we know the property is what? Elasticity. Ability to stretch. If you take a substance, if that substance can stretch, we call that property as what? elasticity. Because of what? We can pull it or stretch it, and again when we release that force, again it will come to that initial state. So we call that property as what? Elasticity. Okay, then fifth question. Here they have given you three diagrams, right? Now you already know what are the diagrams here. This is a what? This is a gas substance. This is what? This is a particle arrangement in a solid substance. And this is the particle arrangement of a liquid substance. Now if you take this A, B and C, they have asked you which one can be compressed easily. So that means what is the substance here, what is the state here which you can compress easily. So you can say only gas, right? You can compress easily which one? Matter A, that means gas. You can only compress easily only what? Gas. Then B, which one has a definite shape? Which one here has a definite shape? Only solid, right? Now if you take solid, this is what? This is a solid. Now you know it already has a definite shape. If you take this pen, it's a solid and it has what? A definite shape. Now if you take gas, doesn't have a definite shape. Why? If you fill gas into a object, you can see it will take the shape of that object. Now if you fill water into an object or a basket, you will find that it will take the shape of that basket or the object, right? But when you take solid, you cannot change the shape of it. That means it has a definite shape. C, which one can be used to fill tires? Now for fill tires we use what? We use gas. That means A. So, matter A. That means we use gas for fill tires. D, which one is used to cool the heated engines in vehicle? Now we use what? We use water to cool down the engines, right? When engines are heated, we use water to cool down the engines. So what is the substance we take? Substance here C, matter C, that means liquid, or we call it as water. Okay, now we are going to discuss the question number 4. In question number 4, they have given you a diagram. Below shows the longitudinal section of human kidney. This is what? The cross section of a human kidney. Now here you can see they have given you renal artery, renal vein and renal pelvis. X and Y are not mentioned in here. So they ask, name the region shown by letters X and Y. So what is the X? X we called as what? Cortex. Now we already know if we take a human kidney, there are two areas, two sections of a human kidney. What are the two sections? The outer section, here the outer part we called as what? Cortex. And here from Y they have shown you what? The inner part, the middle part of the human kidney. We call it as what? We call it as medulla. So the part X, the outer part of the kidney is what? Cortex. And the inner part of the kidney is what? Medulla. Second question. Region represented by X is dark in color. What is the reason for that? Now I already told you the region presented by X. Here the outer section, if you take a colored diagram, you can observe it in your book also. In the cross section, the outer part is somewhat dark in color, right? What is the reason for that? Because in cortex, a lot of blood capillaries are present in the cortex. All the blood capillaries that give blood to the human kidney, there are a lot of blood capillaries, right? Here from the renal vein, it will divide into a lot of blood capillaries inside the kidney. So all these blood capillaries consist in where? It consists in this cortex. So due to the lot of blood capillaries, this cortex is dark in color, somewhat dark in color. So that is the reason. Then third one, mention two nitrogenous excretory substances released by kidney. Now you know kidney produced what? It produced urine, right? So what are the nitrogenous excretory substances? What are the substances? We can say in urine it present what? Urea and uric acid. In urine, it consists water, urea, uric acid and salt. So, from all those 4 components, what are the nitrogenous excretory substance? Nitrogenous means those substances consist what? Nitrogen. So, what are the substance? Urea and uric acid. Then, write one reason of occurring kidney stones. Now, you know we have so many kidney diseases. So, one kidney disease is what? Kidney stones. So, what are the reasons for having kidney stones? Not drinking enough water. If you are not take enough water regularly, what will happen? It will lead you to kidney stones. Then taking salty diets regularly. If you are taking short yeast consists of lot of salt, what will happen? Again it will leads you to kidney stone. Kidney stone means calcium oxalate will we call it precipitate. Okay, calcium oxalate will precipitate on your kidney, on the blood capillary, inside the blood capillaries of your kidney. Calcium oxalate will precipitate, right? Due to what? Due to lack of water. Due to lack of water. And if you take lot of salty food, again it contains what? Sodium chloride, right? So this sodium chloride also precipitate inside your blood veins. So what happened? We call when those sodium chloride or calcium oxalate precipitate inside your blood capillaries, we call it as what? We call it kidney stones. So those are the reasons for occurring kidney stones: not drinking enough water, taking salty diets regularly. Then fifth one, which condition occurs due to using drugs for a long time of period for certain disease. Now if you are taking drugs or medicines for a long time of period, what happened to the kidney? You will have kidney failure, right? The disease we call what? Kidney failure. If you take lot of drugs means what? Those are chemicals, right? Now when you take chemicals for a long time of period, it will damage the kidney. So when the kidney get damaged, we call it as what? Kidney failure. Okay, then part B of the same question. Below plants have been kept on a table in the laboratory. Now what are the plants they have given you? Ginger, sweet potato, akapana, curry leaves, carrot and hibiscus. Now from all these plants they have asked which plant has propagative roots. So what is the plant here which having propagative roots? It's what? Curry leaves. Curry leaves has what? Propagative roots, right? Propagative means what? That means you can take new plants from that roots. So the curry leaves are having what? Propagative roots. Which plant does store food in taproot? So what are the examples for that? Here what is the example? Which plant does store food in taproot? It's what? Carrot, right? Here the carrot contains what? Store food in taproot. Then which plant does store food in underground stem? So what is the plant containing food in underground stem? It's what? Ginger. Now ginger is a stem, right? It's an underground stem. So the plant does store food in underground stem is what? Ginger. Then which plant is adapted for perennation? Perennation means what? Again perennation means survival of plant during in a dry season or wet season. Whether it's a winter season or whether it's a dry season, in both seasons those type of plant can survive due to what? Because already those plants are store water and other nutrients in the plant leaf. So which plant is adapted for perennation is what? Akapana. That means akapana can survive during a winter season or even in a dry season. Why? The leaves are containing or store water. Okay, now let's discuss the question 5. In fifth question, here again you have given some materials, right? Part A. Think you are supplied a strong bar magnet and below substances. What are the materials? Iron nail, eraser, glass lid, pin, paper clip, plastic pen tube, piece of cardboard. Now they have asked you, first question, separate the above substances as materials that attract the magnet and materials that do not attract the magnets. Now from these substances or these materials, what are the materials which will attract to a magnet? So what are the substances? Iron nail will attract to the magnet, right? Then again eraser won't, glass lip won't, pin will attract to a magnet. Then paper clip, again it won't, plastic pen tube not, piece of cardboard also not. So what are the materials? Only iron nail and pin. Now if the paper clip is a iron one, it will attract, or if it is a plastic one, it won't attract. Okay, so if you want, you can write the paper clip also. Then what are the materials which not attract to the magnet? Here eraser, glass lid, plastic pen tube and piece of cardboard. These are not attract to the magnet. Then second question, sketch the magnetic force lines around a bar magnet. Now if you take a bar magnet, there is a magnetic force or magnetic field around the bar magnet. Now if you take the diagram, this is how you should draw it. You should label it as north and south poles, and you should draw the magnetic field around the bar magnet. Now you can see always the magnetic field flowing from north pole to the south pole. Here north pole to the south pole, magnetic field is flowing, right? Likewise you have to draw the magnetic lines from a bar magnet like this. This is the magnetic field around a bar magnet. Then write two uses of a permanent magnets. Now we use permanent magnets for what? We use permanent magnets in speakers, right? Then again we can use permanent magnets in electric motors, and also for door locks also we can use permanent magnets. Now if you have a pencil case, in pencil case also we use what? Permanent magnets. For speakers and for the door lock and also for electric motors, we can use what? Permanent magnets. Then next question, if you are supplied two identical bar magnets and necessary materials to store magnets properly, how do you store them properly? Show it in a diagram. Now if you have two bar magnets, how you are going to store these magnets properly? Here this is the diagram. Okay, you have to get a wooden bar, and you have to keep the wooden bar between those two magnets, and you should take two iron bars, right? So the iron bars should be placed in the corners of the two magnets, and a wooden bar should be placed in between the two magnets. So this is how you should going to store bar magnets properly. Here, why the bar magnets should not close to each other or should not attract with each other. If they are going to attract and close to for each other for a long time of period, what will happen? The magnetic power will be reduced in the bar magnets. So you should store the bar magnets. First you take a wooden bar and keep that wooden bar between the bar magnets, and you have to keep two iron bars at the corners, two edges of the bar magnet. So this is how you are going to store the bar magnets. Then part B. A motor carried below materials to home from the market. A mother carried below materials to home from the market. So what are they? Fish, dal, rice, coconut oil, gotu-kola, potato and bread. These are some food items, right? Now first question, write in order two materials that undergo putrefaction and rancidity. Now putrefaction means what? That means if you take protein food items, if the microorganisms are react in protein food items, we call that process as what? Putrefaction. So what are the materials, what are the food items here which contains protein? You can see here dal contains what? Protein, right? Then fish contains what? Protein. So what are the two food items here undergo putrefaction are what? Fish and dal. Then when you take rancidity, if the oil is present in the food and the food is undergo or food microorganisms react in the food contains lipid or fat, we call that process as what? Rancidity. So what are the food items here that have what? oil in the food. So what is the food here? Only the coconut oil, right? Only the coconut oil has what? Fat or lipid in the food. So rancidity is what? Coconut oil. Then second one, write one change of food when it spoils. Now what happens when food spoils? The color of the food will change, right? Then odor of the food also change. So you can write color of the food is changed, the odor also change, and the texture of the food also change. You can write those things. Then third one, mother said that after a few days a piece of bread was spoiled and black color appeared at certain places. Which microorganism group caused this? Now if you keep bread outside for a long time of period, you will observe there are black colored dots in the bread, right? On the surface of the bread you can observe black colored dots. Because of what? What is the microorganism group? That's fungi. Due to fungi, the reaction of fungi, those type of black dots are present in the bread. So what is the microorganism group caused this? It's fungi. Okay students, now we are going to discuss the sixth question or the last question of the paper. Now in the sixth question, again you have a diagram. A musical instrument was prepared by Nalaka in grade 8 for a science exhibition. So this is a musical instrument. So wire B is thick with respect to wire A. Now you can observe that here the wire B is thick comparing to wire A, right? These are two copper wires. Thickness is different, right? So the first question, according to the way of producing sound, to which type this belongs? Now you can already know there are copper wires, right? And how you are going to produce sound in here? By vibrating these copper wires you can produce sound. So which type this belongs? This instrument belongs to what? Instrument produce sound vibrating strings. Here sound is produced by vibrating the strings, right? So it belongs to the instruments category we called as sound produce vibrating strings. Second question part A, which wire could be vibrated to get a sharp sound? Now if you want to get a sharp sound, then you should vibrate which one? The wire A, right? Why? Because it's not thick like wire B. It's thick, dense, it's not dense like wire B also. So if you want to get a sharp sound, you should vibrate what? Copper wire. Which copper wire? A copper wire. Then if the frequency of the sound produced in here low or high. Now if you take copper wire, A copper wire, the frequency of the sound is high, right? Now frequency means what? That means number of vibrations per second. If you take a second, number of vibrations occur in that second we call as what? Frequency. So if you take this wire, copper wire, A copper wire, the thickness is less, right? So if the thickness of the wire is less, that means the frequency is high. That means the number of times it vibrated is high. So the frequency also high. Third question. It is necessary to pull the wire B. What should be done to it? Now if you want to pull wire B, what you should do? Here in this aluminium pan there are soil, right? In each pan there are soil. Now if you want to pull wire B, you should do what? You should put more soil into the aluminium pan. If you put more soil into the aluminium pan, you can pull wire B. So what you should do? You should put more soil into aluminium pan. Then fourth question. Name two elements used to create the above musical instruments. If you have to name two elements. Now elements, if you take element means what? There are no any other components. Only one component is present in an element. Now what are the elements here you can find? Copper. Copper is an element. And iron. Iron and copper are two elements that you have taken to make this instrument, iron and copper. Next one, name two electrical insulators used to create the above musical instrument. Now electrical insulators means, now you know we can divide materials into two types as electrical insulators and electrical conductors. Now electrical conductors means the materials which can conduct electricity. The electrical insulators means by those materials electricity won't conduct or electricity won't flow through those insulators. So what are the insulators here? Wooden, right? And plastic. Through plastic and wooden we can't conduct or we can't conduct electricity through wooden and plastic. So the two insulators are plastic and wooden. Then which physical property of copper is used to making a copper wire? What is the physical property used here? Now you know here the copper wire. That means copper is an element and we create it as a wire. So what is the physical property? We call that as ductility, right? Ductility means what? That is the ability to draw an element or a substance into wire. Without break we can make wires because of what? Due to ductility. So the property we called as what? Copper has the property of ductility. Then sixth one. Mention two other methods of producing sound in musical instrument except the above method. So what are the other two methods? Here we used vibrating strings. Other two methods are what? Vibrating membranes and vibrating air columns. The other two methods are vibrating membranes and vibrating air columns. So now that's the end of the discussion of the second part of the paper. Now I hope you all understood the answers I discussed here. Now you can correct it by yourself and write down the necessary answers, and I will meet you again in next video from another paper. Thank you.